One with the graph. So the one on the left, yeah.
All right, download it.
Cool.
Okay. Zoom.
Okay.
Let's see what they say here.
Okay.
Now, why did it just do that? Okay, let's see. Okay, now I can read it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to select 3 non-collinear points to use in your solution. Non-collinear means they're not in a straight line.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You work with a classmate, however, your points cannot be the same as any other Algebra 3 student. Your first point will be in quadrant 1, so choose a point with x and y coordinates between 5 and 25. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Our first point.
Let's do between 5 and 25. Let's do 6 and what would be easier? Let's do like 6 and 8.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, we have no idea what numbers are going to make this easier or harder. We're just
Right.
picking numbers. Okay. Let your second point be in quadrant 2. Again, with values between 5 and 25, or more precise, the x quadrant has to be between -5 and -25, because we're in quadrant 2.
They're all negative, yeah, on the x-axis.
Yeah. Now, the y values are still positive.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Right.
y value is going to be between 5 and 25, but the x value is going to be between -5 and -25.
Mm-hmm.
2 different points.
Yeah.
Yeah, select different values than you did for the first point.
Yeah. Let's do -10, 12.
Okay.
All right.
Second
So
quadrant. Now your third point can be in either quadrant 3 or 4. Use the same range of values as above, but again, make sure that they're different than the first 2. So first of all, pick a quadrant. Which quadrant do we want to put it in?
Let me see. Let's do quadrant 4.
Okay. So is the x value plus or minus in quadrant 4?
It would be a plus.
Okay. Give me a number that's not 6 and not 10.
Yeah, let's do 12 comma -10 or negative. Let's do -15. So -10, -15. Or 10, -15, gosh.
You did 12 comma -15.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's fine.
That's a different x. That's a different x point than the first 2, and it's a different y point than the first 2, and it's the fourth quadrant. Okay.
Yeah.
Now plot these, and we'll be using this graph for later problem as well. So,
yeah, it moves into the next page too, so.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's plot it. Let's see. 6 and 8, I remember that. So
I got you.
the point is, Jesus, I hate this when they do this. 1.
I do too. It's like I'm counting right now. It's like,
Well,
come
they put the
on.
number so big that you can't tell that it's right there.
I know. It's like, come on.
Oops, hold on.
Okay.
I want this. So 5. Where is 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No way. Hold on.
Huh.
So if that's 10, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 1 right there. So 5 is right there. So 6 is right there, and 8 is 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6, 8 is right there. Second point, what was it?
Negative 10, 12.
Okay, negative 10. Jesus. There's no excuse for that. There really isn't. There's no
I don't know
excuse
why
to
they did
make you
that.
have to count. One,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's negative 10 right there. What was the point
Mm-hmm.
again? Negative 10 what?
Comma 12.
Okay, so if we go up to 12,
Mm-hmm.
that's 12 at this point. I don't care.
Yeah, you're good.
In other words, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with this. And then the last point was in the fourth quadrant. What was its coordinates?
12, comma negative 15.
So 12, negative 15, right
Yeah.
there, I think. 12, comma negative 15. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have plotted our 3 points. They are not collinear, meaning they don't all 3 lie in a straight line.
Right.
All right. I assume that's everything on this page.
Yep. It says you'll have to refer back to this page on the next page, though.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Maybe just minus out of it and.
Problem is, when I get out of it, I lose everything I've written on it.
Oh, true.
And let's see what the next page says.
Sure.
When necessary, however, try to avoid rounding as long as possible. Fractions are preferred. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisectors for 2 of the chords on your circle.
Isn't the equation for a perpendicular bisector x2 plus x1 divided by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2?
Oh.
Or is that, what's that for? Or is that the midpoint formula?
Well, I need to refer back to that graph to do the rest of this. Here, let me draw that graph on my paper
Okay, sure.
so that I'll be able to put 2 screens up here at once.
Okay.
Let's see, I want to minimize that a little bit. I want to pull this up. And there are a few programs that I hate worse than this program.
Oh my god, I just got iOS 11 on my iPhone, and it's probably the worst update, like, ever. It's so bad. It just makes everything seem like slower, more or less. Like,
Yeah.
you click on an app and it takes longer to get to, and it's just a pain.
Yeah.
It,
No,
my phone glitches
I
out.
discovered that today. I had a panic moment today when I was working on my computer doing the billing.
Yeah.
And I use OneDrive. You familiar with OneDrive?
I do remember that. Yeah.
It's part of Windows 10.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
it's basically a drive in the sky. In other words, it's cloud computing.
Okay.
Right? Problem is that when you think you're working on a document on your desktop, you're actually working on it in the cloud, and if you don't know that, it screws the hell out of it. I wasted 5 hours worth of accounting work the other day because I had OneDrive installed.
Right.
And I didn't know that. I thought I was working on my desktop, and I wasn't. And then when I
Right.
went to find the stuff that I did, I couldn't find it on OneDrive. And
Oh, that's brutal.
I had to recreate it all.
Just,
Oh
my gosh.
But what's horrible is their design. Because when you do your work on your desktop, it looks like you're working on a folder that is strictly on your desktop. It's not even a shortcut. It's a desktop folder. and you think you're changing the files in that folder, but you're not. You're changing them on the OneDrive.
Oh, jeez.
And if you
That's
don't
great.
know that, it's horrible. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so I immediately uninstalled OneDrive, got rid of it, went back, recreated everything. Now I'm
gotcha.
okay. I'm okay again. But I can't believe Microsoft did that. I mean, I love cloud computing, but they need to explain it a little better before they force you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So our 3 points again were 6, 8. Is that correct?
Yep. And then negative 10, comma 12. And then 12, comma negative 15.
Okay. I'm going to just approximately draw that again
Sure, yeah.
without using their crazy grid.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6, 8. There's 10, 12. And there is 12 minus 15. Okay.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, it says something about a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Find the equations of the perpendicular bisectors for 2 out of the 3 of the chords on your circle. Sketch these on the graph. Okay, so
Okay.
I guess what they're saying is I can draw a circle that has those
Mm-hmm.
3 points on it.
Right.
And the chords are that chord,
Uh-huh.
that chord.
And that one. So a triangle, basically.
Yeah, but the vertices of the
Right.
triangle are our 3 points.
Yeah.
Why are you doing geometry here?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, like, I was looking at this, and this has a lot of geometry in it instead of, like, what we're learning right now, which is, like, we're just doing, like, multi-step equations and stuff, and
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, to figure out the equation of the perpendicular bisector of a chord,
Mm-hmm.
let's take this chord between where I'm pointing here. That chord right there. Here, let's label it.
Okay.
Let's label
Negative 10,
our
comma.
first point A, B, and C. So the chord AB,
Okay.
they want the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Well, the perpendicular bisector is that line right there, right?
Okay.
Now,
Right.
perpendicular to the chord AB, and it bisects it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is, what's the slope of chord AB? Because if we can figure out the slope of chord AB, then we'll know the slope of its perpendicular bisector.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
What's the slope of AB?
So, 12
Write it like
minus 8.
slope of AB is m of AB. Okay,
Okay.
12 minus 8. And this is,
Over.
let's see, this
Makes.
is A, this is B, this is C. So
Mm-hmm.
4 over what? Minus
Oh,
12
minus 10.
minus 6 would be minus 16.
Yep.
So that slope is negative 1/4
Uh-huh.
of chord AB.
Okay.
So what is the slope of its perpendicular bisector?
4.
Good.
Cool.
Now, to figure out the equation of this line, I need to know that point,
Mm-hmm.
because then I will have a slope and a point, and I can use point slope.
To get an equation, yeah.
Yeah, is all I need to get an equation of a straight line is the slope and 1 point.
Uh-huh.
So what is this point if it's the midpoint of that chord?
Um, well,
What's halfway
what?
between the x values? You add the
Halfway
two
with
x values, divide by 2. This is what you were talking about.
2. Yeah.
So what do you get?
You get 2 for
You're
the
negative
midpoint.
2.
Or, yeah, negative, my bad. Negative.
In other words, when I add 6 and negative 10, I get negative 4. Divide by 2, I get negative 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Right.
x value of the point that I have an x drawn through is
Mm-hmm.
negative 2. What's the y value?
Then so 0. Well, no, you would do
Add the
8
two
plus 12.
numbers, divide by 2.
Yeah. So 10.
Okay? And that looks right. If I look at my graph, I'm certainly on the left side of the y-axis, and I'm above the x-axis by about 10.
Right, right.
So now, here's point slope. Do you remember the equation for point slope?
Uh, isn't it ax squared plus bx? No,
No,
that's not it.
no. Slope-intercept is y equal mx plus b.
Okay.
Point slope is y minus the y point equals the slope times x minus the x point.
Okay.
Well, we know the slope, it's 4. We know
Uh-huh.
the point is minus 210. We can come up with the equation. What is it? Fill it in.
Right. So it would be y minus, so y1, which is 10.
Good.
So y minus 10 is equal to the slope, which is 4. And then so 4, and then it would be negative 2, or yeah, or x minus negative 2.
Which is x plus 2.
Yeah.
So there's the equation they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
However, they want it
They wanted it
for
slope
y.
intercept. Yeah.
So I have to do a little bit more work. In other words, that is the proper format for the equation, incidentally. But not when
Right.
they say y equals. Okay.
Uh-huh.
If they want us to solve it for y, then I have to move the 10 to the other side, and I get y equals, let's see, that was 4x plus 8 plus 10 would be 4x plus 18. There's
Mm-hmm.
the equation of the perpendicular bisector to chord AB.
Yeah. Then now you have to do
Now
either AC or BC.
well, exactly. And we could do
Mm-hmm.
either one, but the process is going to be identical. We're going to
Okay.
figure out the slope of the chord.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to give us the slope of the perpendicular bisector. And in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the point, it's always halfway between point A and C or between point B and C if we're doing this point.
Okay.
So let's do AC just because,
Yeah, that one's easier.
in other words, that's the equation of that line we're trying to figure out.
Uh-huh.
So what is the slope of AC? I'm going to write in the middle of this circle.
Sure.
So the slope of AC is what?
I got negative 23 over 6. So it was minus 15 minus 8 over 12 minus 6.
You got it. So what is the slope of the perpendicular to that?
So hold on. The perpendicular bisector would be 23 over 6.
You got to do two things.
Or
Always two things.
that was the opposite.
It's opposite,
Um,
but you got to flip it also.
6 over 23.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's our slope. In other words, the
Mm-hmm.
slope of that thing is 6 over 23, and that looks right. It's a positive
Mm-hmm.
slope. It's a fraction, flatter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's figure out what that point is.
Okay.
And then we'll use point slope again.
Okay.
Now this is between A and C. So what's the x coordinate of that point?
So A and C. So this is where you'd use the midpoint formula, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's really easy because it's halfway between the x coordinates and the y coordinate is halfway between the y coordinates.
Right.
That's the easy
So
way
it'd
to
be
always think about it. It's not hard. Just figure out what the halfway point is between 6 and 12. And you do that always by adding them together and dividing by 2.
right.
What's the x coordinate of that point?
So for the x coordinate, it would be 9, and then I mean y, yeah.
No, 9 is the x coordinate. Now,
And then
what
I
is
thought
the y coordinate?
yeah.
Add them together, divide by 2.
-7/2.
Okay, now we got enough to do point slope.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the point slope, so let's fill it in.
Yeah. So we'll do, okay, let's see. So it'd be y minus, so y minus x, or y1, was it? Yeah, y minus y1, which was -7/2. So that'd be y plus -7/2.
Now that'd be y plus 7/2.
Plus, I meant, yeah.
When you have a y minus a minus, which is what we have, the two minuses turn into a plus. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't drop negative signs, don't add negative signs.
No.
Every negative sign that is supposed to be there in there, and then simplify. In other words, always write it like that. It's y minus a minus 7/2. That happens to turn into y plus 7/2. What's the slope again?
6/23.
And then that's times x minus the x coordinate, which is what?
9.
Now, again, they want y equals. They don't want it in point slope format.
Right.
So how do we simplify that?
So it'd be y plus 7/2 is equal to 6/23 x minus 56/23. 54, yeah.
Over 23. Remember, when you're multiplying anything by 9, the answer, the digits have to add to 9. 56 does not add to 9, it adds to 11. 54 adds to 9. 5 and 4. Okay? Now I got to move the 7/2 over, and I'll have my answer.
Yeah, let me
y equals 6/23 x minus whatever 54/23 minus 7/2 is.
Yeah, I can do that on the calculator.
Yeah, we picked some points that make our arithmetic harder.
Yeah, exactly.
But we picked them. In other words, that's why they let us pick the points and didn't give them to us. Actually, I think it probably would have been a better answer if they'd have given us the points. Because when we pick them randomly, we end up with fractions like 54/23, and we have to subtract 7/2 from that. Well, that's not that easy to do. There's 54/23, and I'm subtracting 7/2 from that. I got to find a common denominator. What's my common denominator?
Well,
how can you always
66.
46.
46, I meant, yeah.
Multiply 2 times 23.
It
will always give you a common denominator. It doesn't always give you the smallest common denominator, but it always gives you a common denominator. Now, make a little bit more room here just so we can do that math. So if I'm turning that into 46, I've got to double the numerator. So I got
Mm-hmm.
108 all over 46. And in this case, I got to multiply the numerator by 23 times 7.
Yep.
Nothing's easy. Nothing is.
No, not at all.
Hold on. Okay.
You're good.
I can't write over there. All right.
That's
Go up
weird.
top here.
Uh-huh.
108. Oh, I got to find a different writing program. I apologize that I haven't fixed this. And this
Oh, you're fine. No worries.
23 times 7 is 161
Yep.
over 46. That's what 7 halves is.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
notice that 7 halves is 3.5, and that's about 3.5. So we didn't make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And our answer, they want fractions, is
Minus 53 over 46.
minus what?
Minus 53 over 46.
No, it's a minus 108 minus a 161.
Yeah, add them
That's
together. Yep.
minus 269.
Yeah.
Minus 269 over 46. That is down here. It's
Mm-hmm.
minus 269 over 46.
Mm-hmm.
That is the answer based on our 3 points that we put.
Cool.
Okay.
Together.
So
Okay.
this looked like a geometry problem when I first looked at it, but it really isn't. It's really more of an algebra problem. In other words,
Yeah.
it's really algebra that says the slope of a perpendicular is the negative reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really algebra that you use to find the midpoint.
Right.
So this is more of an algebra problem than it is a geometry problem. And it's also
Mm-hmm.
algebra where you write the equation of a line.
Okay.
And
Right.
this was an algebra problem. It wasn't really a geometry problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry we didn't cover more of it, but these.
No, you're good. Could we set up a session for tomorrow, by
Sure,
chance?
sure.
Okay, cool. I have a baseball meeting at 7, so would either like I don't know, 5:30, I mean 5 or 5:30 work?
5 works. I have a 5:30 scheduled, but 5
Cool, so
works.
you have to do 5. Yeah,
Well, let's put you down there.
perfect.
And if we're just finishing these questions, you don't need to send me
Yeah.
any more. If they give you new material by tomorrow, send it along.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
Sweet.
Ellen, I'll talk to you at 5 tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Mr. Cowan.